This is New York, one of the most densely populated places on the planet. It is home to the largest concentration of billionaires anywhere on Earth. Billionaires are responsible for creating ecosystems which rely on them across the globe. They are the single largest producer of goods and services. But these titans were not always roaming the earth by the same name. There have been many names which these amazing creatures have been called. In today's episode, we will explore the evolution of these majestic creatures. The evolution of the dickhead. Egypt. Along the banks of the River Nile, the birthplace of one of the most profound societies in history, is arguably the birthplace of the first documented dickhead, named Pharaoh Nama, a self-proclaimed god and unifier of worlds. He unites Upper and Lower Egypt to become divine ruler. He is only the first. Many after sought the title of God among men, and this tradition has spanned millennia. Many of his descendants were also massive dickheads, hailing themselves as gods, giving priesthoods to legitimize their own power. This ancient form of being a dickhead would be looked upon by many future generations who idolized being a dick. They hoped they could emulate this in order to further their own goals. Rome, what is considered the incubator for Western democracy, is no stranger to the perils of dickheadery. It started with a young Roman dickhead named Decimus Junius Brutus Scavia, who held the first gladiatorial games in honor of his dead father. This type of dickheadery quickly became a tool for rich dickheads to control the poor, stupid masses with bloodshed and distraction. What started as a copy of Etruscan traditions, supposedly honoring dead ancestors, turned into an even more disgusting tradition, one where the elite used violence, spectacle, suffering and blood to keep the lower classes entertained and subjugated. This eventually led to the construction of the Colosseum, built specifically to host these gladiatorial events. Mexico. Just like animals, dickheads evolve. And sometimes the same outcome can come from different parts of the world. Convergent dickheadery. These new dicks came up with the unoriginal idea to sacrifice people. They managed to convince their people that all their society's economic and systematic problems could be solved if they simply killed some shit.
Yo, killing me with this!
But of course, they'd never be the ones who needed to be sacrificed. That's reserved for the chump with the hot daughter. I mean that heathen over there. Perhaps a poor person. The hypocrisy here is rich, suggesting others sacrifice their lives, something the proposer will likely never have to face themselves. These sacrifices were brutal,
Nice.
and would usually involve ripping out the heart of the victim, a classy touch. This form of dickheadery ensured the ones in power maintained control and removed anyone who might dare challenge it. The foundations of religious dickheadery. Europe. If you think organized religion was done with dickheadery, you would be wrong, because more dickheadery was yet to take place through more widespread institutions, namely the Catholic Church. Churches took a tithe, which was a 10% tax on landowners and farmers. If you didn't wish to pay this tithe, it meant you didn't wish to own things or have freedom. But don't worry, these dickheads who enforced this tithe had grand and noble plans for this newfound wealth. The first thing they would do is educate all the populace and feed the poor. Just fucking with you. It was used for fighting wars against godless heathens, building more churches and buying more land so they could tax more people. And of course,
bunch of hookers and cocaine.
The church grew fat from these practices and enforced this tax with an iron grip. The church was essentially the first corporation, so you know they were undoubtedly massive dicks. Arabia. But those who were named heathens by the church would not be outdone and engaged in their own special brand of dickheadery, slavery. This institution was as widespread as ties were in Europe, but this was a trade of human lives, where bands of men formed raiding parties and would go to unsuspecting villages and kidnap anything with a pulse, or where dickheads like this guy would buy prisoners from local chieftains or raid villages. These poor souls would then be shipped throughout the Islamic world, destined for a life of servitude and suffering, forced to be concubines for rich dickheads, or to be castrated and indoctrinated to be bodyguards, or the worst fate, used for hard labor. Millions of souls were subjected to this horrific fate, but the Europeans were becoming enlightened and thought to themselves that this abhorrent practice is not being done properly, and with an enlightened mind decided to show the Islamic world how to improve their dickhead efficiency. Thus the Atlantic slave trade was born, the continuation of this dickhead practice. They took the same amount of people in half the time. Impressive, taking them in such terrible conditions that a third would die on the journey to the New World, while the poor souls who were not lucky enough to perish on the journey would have to suffer working under hellish conditions, picking cotton, sugarcane and tobacco until they died of exhaustion. In total, these two acts of dickheadery ruined the lives of over 30 million humans directly, and hundreds of millions of their descendants. Portugal. Those two previous acts of dickheadery led to a more modern and refined form of dickheadery, popularized by the upper classes of imperial society, one where people are judged by the color of their skin and not the content of their character, looking down on those who have more melanin in them. This more refined and sophisticated dickheadery became especially prevalent during the height of European imperial reach, where these powers noticed a trend. Everywhere they conquered happened to have a slightly darker skin tone to them. They put down their pistols and rifles while disembarking from their gunships and started thinking to themselves, "These people must be losing wars because they have more melanin in their skin than we do, which must mean they are inferior to us. Otherwise they would win with their swords, spears and dhow boats." This dickhead way of thinking led to the foundation of the greatest, most sophisticated science, eugenics, and encouraged the creation of dickhead policies such as segregation and the Jim Crow laws, making sure those with melanin are unable to exist, breathe air, eat, or even take a shit in the same place as the pure. Ironic, right? But that is what being a dickhead does to your brain. But amazingly, there is one group of people who have been on the receiving end of dickheadery for far longer, that being women. They have been recipients of a premium brand of dickheadery, where men bore by women and men who need women in order to further their own bloodlines and ensure their offspring see adulthood, treated women as inferior. These very men then adjusted society to berate and degrade the rights of women, essentially brandishing them as second-class citizens. This dickheadery has been widespread in agricultural societies for thousands of years, even though in many cultures women were honored and respected. As societies became civilized, a woman's role became increasingly diminished. Some dickheads even indoctrinated entire societies to kill their female offspring, seeing them as less useful and desirable as male offspring. Those dickheads have changed the demographics of nations even up till this day. Ironically, the ones who brought you nourishment and sustenance at your most vulnerable stage in life are the ones who receive beratement and disrespect. This is a truly cataclysmic level of dickheadery. But the delicate ecosystem of dickheadery has shifted to a new class of dickheads. Dickheads are no longer confined to the status of elites. They can be found in every facet of society. This has created a disparity, leading to the destruction of the world as we know it. Dickheadery has become a widespread phenomena, leading to pollution, corruption, and dismembering of not only the planet, but the fabric of society. Rich dickheads lead in the field of dickheadery, with their corporations, which are at the forefront, innovating on previous dickheadery and updating it. They have become gods of this world, painting themselves as everymen, and perpetuating the myth that if you work hard enough, you can be one of them.
Loan of $1 million.
They have manufactured algorithms to keep us fighting amongst ourselves, sacrificing our freedoms and benefits, which in turn give them more control, using the internet as a tool to exploit us for our wealth, using sale tactics which smother mid and small-sized businesses, creating monopolies. They also engage in modern-day slavery, such as Apple, who famously put up nets to stop people jumping out of windows, or Nestle and countless other tech companies who engage in child labor, either in the mines of the Congo or in the cocoa fields of West Africa. Or dickheads like Elon Musk, who use fear-mongering tactics, claiming the elite are engaging in the Great Replacement, using race and misogyny to divide us all while being part of that very elite class. Or Donald Trump, who claims to care about the citizens of his nation, while living a life which had always used those individuals to benefit himself. Or people like Andrew Tate and countless influencer dickheads who exploit their gullible and moronic audience to line their own pockets, or indoctrinate children to buy their shitty products. Countless souls have fallen within the pits of dickheadery. So remember one thing, dear viewer. Watch where you tread, and remember to think different and be more like this Chad. Thanks for watching.